First, we want to wish everybody a happy holidays and especially a Merry Christmas, because we will not be talking to fans across the country. And this is probably my favorite time of the year. I just love the bowls. I've already we have a way to TiVo or we get copies of the first 3 bowl games already, and I get to watch every one of them. And I watch every play, and to see Wyoming come back and last night Middle Tennessee come back. It's just a fun time of the year, and for people that question whether kids should be able to go to bowls with a 6-6 or 7-5 season, they just love it. So it's a lot of fun. And I also wanted to congratulate our ladies volleyball team. What a wonderful year they've had, and I've never seen a more competitive game than watching them play Penn State the other night. I sat there and watched every bit of it, and it's one of those games that nobody should have lost. We just ran out of time because the ladies sure played well, and both basketball teams are off to a great start. We're proud of this team. We told them thank you the other day to be sitting here at 13-0 and Big 12 champs. The seniors have been absolutely amazing. To have won 26 of their last 27 games is something that we just take for granted. I know in listening to the 30-game win streak that Coach Royal had back in the late 60s and 70s, these kids modern day have had a record kind of like that. I think we'd won 19 straight in 05 before we played the national championship game, and they should get a lot of credit for what they've done. Recruiting, is we've been working as a team in practice, but we've also been recruiting hard since the Big 12 championship game, and recruiting's never been better. It's a good time now with a lot of young guys in the state wanting to come, and it just shows us that we can have strength for many years here if we'll continue to build on what we're able to do. And the fact that we've not been to Pasadena for 35 straight, or forever, 100 straight years in the last 6 now. This will be our 3rd trip to Pasadena, is really exciting. And again, that's a fun time to be a Longhorn. We started practice last Saturday briefly, and then we took off Sunday for recruiting. We took Monday off to have a work day to start working on game plans with Alabama. And then we practiced Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We took Friday off for recruiting and game planning, and then have come back and worked Saturday morning, Sunday morning, work this morning, and we'll work in the morning before we take a little break for Christmas. The guys are getting up and eating breakfast at 5:15. They're having their meetings. We go on the field about 7:50. They've worked till about 9:50, and we've gone back to 2-a-days. We haven't even talked a lot to them about Alabama at this point, because it was a month and 2 days from the Big 12 championship game till our ball game. So it's like starting over and having a one-game season. So you really just have to go back and work on fundamentals. But we've had very, very physical practices. They've all been ones against ones. They're knocking each other around. They're having fun. And we're really excited about watching them prepare for this game, because they're proud to be here. We will finish this segment of practices again tomorrow morning. We'll have a meeting with them and send them home for Christmas, and then they will come back the night of the 26th, and we'll talk about that in a few more minutes. Injury report: Calvin Howell will still not play. Mason Walters will still not play. So they are out of the game. Other than that, we've got a few guys with a tweak or a strain here and there, because we're working so hard and practicing in a very physical manner, but there's no one on the team that shouldn't be able to play and shouldn't be ready to practice 100% by the time we get to L.A. And John Childs and Jordan Shipley are back at 100%. John missed the last 2 games with his sprained ankle. We thought he could play against Nebraska, but when he got out there and tested it, he really couldn't. The academic status of our guys, there's still some grades coming in, but we feel like we're in good shape. And as of right now, it seems that all the guys should be ready to go out at the bowl game. So that's great news. Christian Scott is academically eligible, so he will play in the bowl game. He has been practicing with our team every day for the fall, and he's worked very hard. He will be involved in just about all the kicking teams. And at the same time, Dwayne Akina and Will Muschamp are looking to see if he could get involved some in scheme, because he's such a good player. So that's still to be determined. And he is not losing a year. He was redshirted, so this was a year that would have cost him eligibility anyway. So by playing in this game, he will still have 2 years left to play. Brandon Collins will not play in this game. Some people have asked, would Brandon play? because it's a national championship game, but it would cost him a full year of eligibility. And as important as this game is, we do not feel like it would be fair to put him out there for one game and he gets hurt, he doesn't get to play much, he drops the ball and we pull him out, and all of a sudden it's cost him a full year. So his situation is very different from Christian's, but he also will be in a position where he will have 2 years left as well. DJ Monroe had his charges dropped the other day or changed. I had a long meeting with him yesterday, and what I told him was that I didn't like what he did, but I do think he's paid the penalty. It's a severe penalty to have missed a curfew and be speeding and be cost 3 games of your college career, and at the same time, one of those the A&M game and one of them a Big 12 championship game. And I want him to learn from it and be more accountable. But he has been practicing with our team every day, so he is not behind. He has not missed anything, and he's had a great attitude since his incident. So he will be reinstated, and if he practices well enough, we will play him in the game. We're not punishing him anymore. What we do with our discipline is we try to look at their body of work. We try to look at what gets their attention and our team's attention, and at the same time, it doesn't have anything to do with how much it hurts the team. It's about the individual, and it's about the message to our team and who we are. Marcus Davis remains suspended. He is not practicing with the team. He will not travel with the team and will not be at the bowl game. And I will talk to Marcus after January 1 as far as his future. As far as the depth chart, we're working the guys so hard and we're competing so hard right now, we will not have a depth chart until we get to L.A. And we feel like that is a message to our team. We weren't pleased in some instances on defense in the A&M game. We weren't pleased with some guys on offense in the Nebraska game. So we're going back and competing really, really hard and trying to figure out what mistakes we made in the last 2 games, because all phases need to play well in this game to give us a chance to win. But we will release a depth chart after we get out there. As we said, in the morning we will practice. They will go home for the 23rd, 24th, 25th, so they can have Christmas at home. They'll come back here for dinner the night of the 26th. We'll practice the 27th, the 28th, the 29th. They'll return home the afternoon of the 29th for the 30th and the 31st, and then they will all fly out to L.A. on the 1st. Our guys have all come out on their own. They do get their stipend that way. It's work for us. It's something they really want to do, and we've got easy access to airports throughout our state, so it's not a problem for them to get out there, and it's something we've done ever since I've coached. So and then after we get out there, we will have the normal 1 week of practice. Alabama's a great football team. Coach Saban's done an amazing job turning it around. They were 6-6 3 years ago, and now they've won 25 out of the last 27 and 13 in a row this year. They're a great team. They've had announced the other day with 6 AP All-Americans. They have a Heisman Trophy winner. 5 of their guys have already accepted to play in the Senior Bowl, which is a bowl that showcases the best pro prospects in the country. And they're very much like the 05 team. Defensively, their scheme's very much like ours. They're giving up 11 points. It'll be very interesting, and you have to know that Nick and Will are proud to have the number 1, the number 2 defenses in the country going into this ball game. It also shows you that defenses usually win championships, and that's why we're there. They also have a tremendous group of special teams guys. They've got a great kicker, and Tiffin Arenas is a guy that every time he touches the ball on special teams, he has a chance to score. They're the best at what they do in the country. And their offense is very powerful. They're very balanced. They're really good up front. Have the Heisman Trophy winner at tailback. And because of that, he's such a great runner. Trent Richardson is also a great runner. But they have a play-action pass off of everything that they run. So they're very balanced and do a tremendous job. Questions?
Coach.
Go ahead, Ed.
Thanks, Coach. When you look back, I know you're a coach's coach. Your dad's coach, and you fond of Coach Rowe. Have you stepped back and thought about this series and what it means to the people of Texas and Alabama with all the great games, the 65 game, the 73 game, the 82 game with Coach Brown on one side and Coach Rowe on the other side?
I really have. This is my 2 favorite schools in the country when I was growing up. I wanted to go to Alabama. I just love Coach Bryant. We love Coach Royal. So we're aware of those games. And I've been around Tommy Nobis when he talked about the quarterback sneak in the Orange Bowl, and that I was standing there with Mickey Andrews, who was the offensive guard, the defensive coordinator at Florida State, and Joe Namath and Tommy Nobis. And Joe Namath said, "Tommy, you know we scored. You know we got in." And Tommy Nobis says, "Joe, not only did you not get in, none of your offensive linemen got in either." And then he said, "And you missed it by this much." So it's been a tremendous series, and there have been some great games. And Texas has come out on top of those most of the time, but the games have been really close and really competitive. And we've been so lucky over the last 5 years to play storied programs. You're playing Ohio State and Michigan and SC, and then you got Nebraska and Oklahoma in your own league, and then you start looking at Alabama, and you start looking at all these things and the releases from John and the best teams in the history of college football, and there's just a list of them there together, and it's been really, really fun, and this one will be no different.
Coach, talk a little bit about some of these universities are very different, but they have a lot of ties between the defensive coordinators. Major Applewhite was at Alabama with Nick Saban. Talk a little bit about that and how it might help or hurt.
It helps in that we have a pretty good feel of at least their juniors and seniors, and most of their players are juniors and seniors. And Major was there as an offensive coordinator, and he knows those kids. He knows how they think. He knows how they'll practice. It's been interesting that Will and Major have said their bowl practices will be exactly like ours. Said there will not be any difference in the preparation for the two teams. And then Will was kind of raised by Nick. He had 5 years under him as a defensive coordinator, and it's really funny when you start looking at the defenses. They're exactly the same. I mean, the calls are the same. So that's the positive for us. The negative is that both staffs will be trying to outthink what the other one's going to do because we know so much about each other, and you have to be careful not to outthink yourself, and you have to still do what you do best. But Nick's done a tremendous job. He's a great coach. We have tremendous respect for him. They've got great players, and they coach them really hard, and they coach them well.
Is your approach in practice also just because it would be too much if it was Alabama every day with such a big gap between championship and bowl?
Yes, we haven't touched Alabama yet. We'll do that. We'll start Alabama the 3 days that we come back after Christmas. And then we'll treat it like a 10-day open date is basically what we'll do. We'll really work Alabama for those 3 days, and then we will be all Alabama, obviously, when we get out there. And we'll have a week out in Pasadena and L.A., and that week will be like a week's preparation building up to the game. But we felt like that we needed to go back and be more fundamentally sound. We had to do a better job of blocking. We had to do a better job of being physical with each other. So we've just basically been lining up ones against ones and scrimmaging. And obviously, when your one offense is playing our one defense, it's playing Alabama because it's the same schemes exactly. So we feel like that that's what we wanted to do in this stretch of time.
Coach, very quickly, even though you've been ranked to the top all year, you became underdogs in this game. Do you like that, and do you think it's fair that you are making that?
It doesn't matter what I think or like, really, but I think it's fair. You look at the way they ended against Florida, and you look at the way we ended against Nebraska. And I watched their film against Florida. They dominated. They played great. So if they play like that, I mean, it's unbelievable how well they played. And we sure didn't play our best game against A&M or our best game against Nebraska. So our kids have been around long enough to win, but neither one of those were pretty games in all phases like Alabama's was against Florida. So I understand that completely. They've got great players. They've got all those All-Americans. So I told our players, I think that's fair. And if you look at it, on paper, last two ball games for us and last one for them, I would think everybody would pick them.
Do you draw the conclusion to 05 at all?
No, but it's very similar. I think their team's very similar to 05 with a Heisman Trophy winner and being so good and dominating at the end. And our team didn't get the credit they probably deserved. We won 70-3 in the Big 12 championship game, got no credit, so it probably deserved more credit then. Right now, I can see this has been a team that's had to fight for everything they get. So we understand where we are. We know we're a work in progress and still haven't played our best game, and we've got to play great. What they also understand, these are two great programs. They're two great teams, really, and people will compare everything. None of that matters. You've got 3.5 hours to win a national championship, so it's the team that plays the best for 3.5 hours, and that's all that really matters.
Back on that same note with Colton and Vince saying lose the Heisman to the national championship guy. Is Colt the kind of guy that can use any of that as motivation? Because he kind of doesn't seem like he would care as much as maybe Vince did.
No, I do think, too, that Colt's been there twice. Very few times does anybody ever get to go once. He's seen the story twice. And it was really funny at the end of the at the end of the Heisman, he walked up to me and said, this is not the most important thing in my life. That next game's going to be when it comes to sports. And the national championship as a team is a bigger team award than the Heisman. But he was very gracious about Mark and congratulated him. And again, Colt's gotten so many awards. He got all the quarterback awards, and I was really proud for him.
Coach, you got past Sue. Now you got a guy like Terrence Cody. Can you just, I know you're not dealing with Alabama maybe exactly right yet, but just in terms of their defensive front and the kind of problems that you need to overcome.
Yes, the coaches we are dealing with Alabama. We're not able to sleep. And they've got 3 Sues up front. I mean, that's the problem. Everywhere you look, they're knocking somebody down, and we've been afraid to show it to our kids. We're going to try to we're going to limit how much film we show them. We're going to cut some plays out, and we're going to go real slow with them and we're not going to feed them all of it at once.
Coaching along the lines back to 05, you had said once you got out to Pasadena that the national media kind of helped you coach a little bit. Do you sense that may be happening with this matchup, or do you think it's going to be a lot more even-handed?
I have not. I've been so busy with recruiting and watching film, I haven't turned on a TV, very honestly, and haven't had anything. I haven't heard anything. So everybody says that everybody's picked us to get beat, which is fine. I just haven't seen it yet. So I'm sure the closer we get and everybody tells us we've got no chance, it'll probably be a good motivator. I probably won't have to say a whole lot again.
Do you your approach with Colt any different coming into this game than any of the other games previously leading up to this one?
No, if you look at the players at Alabama, they're very similar to the defensive players at Oklahoma. They're very similar to the defensive players at Nebraska. They're great players. They're well coached, and we know if you look at the 2 best defenses in the country, both offenses have gotten they've got their challenge ahead of them to sit here and try to move the ball because there'll be a lot of people on that defense flying around and getting after people, and Colt knows that. He understands, and I think that our guys also understand you're not going to get to a conference championship game and a national championship game very often without playing a really good football team, and that's why it's going to come down to who plays the best. In 05, Colorado had really struggled at the end. They had some people hurt. There was some people being negative about Coach Barnett at that time. So we caught a Colorado team who was in a tough spot. Nebraska was just the opposite. They'd won 5 straight. They were on a high. They had nothing to lose, and they were relaxed. And what we told our kids this time last year is we wanted to win the Big 12 championship and get our goal, and playing for the national championship would be a dream. So we want the pressure off. We want them to go have fun, enjoy the moment.
Alabama's got a few Texans on their team, quarterback. How's that play into it with the regional effect and recruiting and that sort of thing?
It doesn't. They're both really good players. There's one from Smithson Valley, and Larry Hill was at practice today, and we should take them, both of them. They're both really good players, and they're playing really well. It's the same thing around here. Every time you look up, somebody's got one we should have taken. There's 375. I'm really appealing the NCAA to see if we could get 375 scholarships available each year. And I think that's the only way to correct who we're going to play against. It's really good. But you look at what they've done. Both kids have done an amazing job. And offensively, he couldn't have played any better in that ball game against Florida. Just to see the progress from the beginning of the year till the end, they can do both now. At the first of the year, they were more limited, but they're really good and have great balance now.
Is there a lot you'll change offensively in terms of what you did against Nebraska and Oklahoma because you weren't as successful maybe as you were in other games?
Yes, we, Oklahoma, we were kind of going through a transition of trying to get a tight end, run the ball better, and move the ball. Nebraska, Sue just dominated. I mean, he you can't say you were surprised because he played well all year, but we were disappointed that as coaches we didn't do a better job of doing some things by scheme to help with him, and hopefully we'll do a better job in this game.
What are some of those things that you can do?
Well, I'm not going to sit here and tell you. Where are you from? I've never seen you before. I bet you got an A on that thing there.
I'm from Houston. I'm from Houston. So I'm with the ABC out of Houston.
I was kidding.
Just in general, was there anything in general then, Coach, that you might?
Well, I'm obviously not going to say. That would be the best answer, because that's the truth. If you want me to give you an answer that says a whole lot and has no credibility at all, I'll try.
No, don't worry
But
about it.
we should have done different things with some double teams. We should have. We probably should have had more draws. The ones we had were very successful. I mean, they had 4 good defensive linemen, like Alabama's got, and that's the problem, is trying to handle one when you got the other guys that look just as good. But I thought that early in the game, he made so many exciting plays that it excited their defense and frustrated our offense, and we didn't come out of the funk till the end of the game. Now we drop a touchdown pass and we screw up a field goal attempt. We also didn't think we managed the game as a whole very well, and those are things that we need to do a better job with the staff to help our kids. But when you've got a great player like that, and if he whips yours, it's tough. And very honestly, Cody's one of them. I mean, they got a group now. It's a really impressive defense. We don't get to see them that much in this part of the country because we don't see their games. But Alabama's whole front looks like soup. I mean, they're just amazing.
Coach, is it even more special to you and to some of the coaching staff that not only are you playing for the championship again, but to do it at the Rose Bowl?
It is. The Rose Bowl people came through, and very few have changed. The other day, they spent a couple of hours with us, and it was fun to see them again. And to think that the night we did the teleconference, and we beat Cal out to get in the Rose Bowl, and we were playing Michigan, and I was told that nobody out there liked us, and they didn't want you, and it was going to be bad. And that night, they were really gracious. But now they've become friends. And for this to be our 3rd trip back in 6 years is just amazing. And it's more than we can even ask for. For these 5-year seniors, there's 7 of them, to have been at the Rose Bowl and stand on the sideline and win a national championship or watch their team win it, and to be able to go back is just an amazing experience for them. And I did learn, though, this is not the Rose Bowl. This is the national championship game at the Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl will be on the 1st. So, but it will be the national championship game at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. So to me, from Cookeville, that sounds the same. We won't have a parade, but that's pretty close. We can still count it.
Can you touch real quick on special teams, maybe this year more than ever, between returns, obviously the way it ended in Dallas, how important special teams are and how you guys have come through so
Yes, it's this team has found a way to win in all 3 phases at different times. And that's what you have to do to be good. It's hard to win 13 games. And not everybody and not everything's going to work every week. And everything has been pretty good. Our kickoff coverage was great against Nebraska, except for one time. And that's what, in this game, you don't need to have an except for one time. Hunter Lawrence has been unbelievable. In fact, in the 05 Rose Bowl, when we played Michigan, I walked out to Dusty Mangum and said, you're so lucky, you're going to be the hero. I mean, they're going to talk about this kick the rest of your life, and I wish I was you, and you're going to have all kinds of girlfriends. And I was trying my best to be happy and excited for him. With Hunter, I walked out to the offensive line and said, in front of Hunter, where he could hear it, if you guys keep Sue from blocking it, he'll make it. But you have got to protect him. Just protect him because he's 100%. He hadn't missed. And he was. I didn't realize how close it was till I got home, but I thought it was right down the middle. And then when I got home and watched it, I still think it was right down the middle because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. But the kickoff return at A&M by Marquise. It's just we've been able to do the things in the kicking game that have really helped us. Now, it's so much fun, Jordan's punt returns against Tech and against Colorado. To watch Arenas and Jordan, Marquise, DJ, I mean, every time somebody kicks it now, there's going to be some excitement. And it'll be a huge part of this game, I think.
Coach, will DJ return kicks if he gets to play them?
Yes, if he does well between now and then. Marquise has done a good job. I guess I can't say I was the first one. I thought he still had a chance to pick up and run with the other day. But the last one, when it went out of bounds, he did a good job of standing there and being close with it and going out. So he's gained more experience since he started doing it. But DJ's really good at it, so we'll let both of them compete. And DJ's been catching them every week. He was not in a position to play.
Mack, one more thing on Cole. At the beginning of the year, he put so much pressure on himself and he wasn't having the fun that maybe he wanted to have. Are you worried that that'll be the case again because it's the national championship, because of everything that is comes into this?
I'm really not. Colt has put himself into a position, he'll have pressure the rest of his life. I've told him that I live that same life. I mean, every week you have to win now. I mean, that's what you do. And people will say now, well, if he wins, it'll be different. It really won't. He's had a wonderful run here and a great career here. And he's a great player, and he's played in big games. He's beaten Ohio State last year in this game. He's played in tight games. He's had more last-second comebacks. And what I thought the other night that got lost is that his game wasn't like A&M. It wasn't what he wanted, but he had us in a position to open the game up with a touchdown pass at the end. He had us taking us from the 6-inch line. He hits a 3rd and 12 to get us off. He drives us down to the 32, and the ball was taken out of the tight end's arms where he threw it perfectly. So that would have been a field goal that probably puts them out of range because they weren't going to score a touchdown. And then the last drive, he takes it down and makes plays to get us in a position. And as much as people said about the last seconds, he left enough time. I mean, he's done that. It's who would question Colt McCoy when he's had 8 of 9 last-second drives for wins, and at Tech it wasn't his fault, only one. So I really felt like he probably had a Heisman. The last 3 drives were Heisman-like drives against Nebraska. We drop a touchdown. We have a catch taken out of our hands. And then the last time there was more talk about the clock running down than there was the last-second field goal. So I thought he definitely played well enough to win the other night. We didn't help him very much. So what we've got to do is do a better job helping him against Alabama.
Okay, Coach. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to everybody.